song cold open whenever Rob walks in.
Oh, hey, thanks for showing up. Are you ready? Are you good? My director to tell me I'm ready. Hey, everyone. I'm John.
And I'm Zach.
Welcome to Those Dramienzers, where we drink whiskey
And talk about it.
For everything Those Dramienzers, be sure to visit thosedramienzers.com. You can find our social media links, our Patreon page, order form for our hats, and Zach's favorite website.
John, are you talking about dramit.threadless.com?
Why, yes, I am.
Oh my goodness, what a great site. You can get like shirts and stuff there, which is great because in order to go places, you really need shirts.
Shirts and stuff.
Yeah. So, you know, if you want to wear shirts, go places, and put our kids through college,
That'd be nice.
yeah, go ahead and shop it.
Yeah.
Dramit.threadless.com.
If you want to sponsor the show or have us review a product on the show, give us a DM or send us an email. Well, we're not drinking today yet, but should we get started?
Hell yeah, we should get started.
They've been patiently waiting for us. We can take it for
Our 30-minute setup took an hour. It's like PennDOT.
Yeah, I was working. You were standing around. No.
I was taking pictures. How dare you?
Oh, goodness. I love messing with you. As you can hear in the background, it's not just Zach and I today. We are and it's a little echoey because we're actually in pretty much a construction zone, right? Yeah.
Plus the hats.
Plus hence the hats if you're watching this on video. We are at the soon-to-be new location for Liberty Pole Spirits. I don't think we go an episode without talking about them, so you guys know we were going to be here to do another round with this new project they have. So Rob disappeared on us, so
we get to say whatever we want for him.
We can talk about him the whole time. Now, last time we met with them, it was 2019, pre-COVID. That's how long it was since we last had our
I feel like that's part of the reason why we talk about them every show. Is it's just been way
too long.
We've talked with them, so we just need to talk about them.
And that time we only had Kevin and Rob. And so this round I said, Mom and Dad aren't getting out of this one. They're coming.
Not even a little bit.
So we have, Rob will join us soon, but we have the family. We have Jim, Kevin, and Ellen with us.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah. Glad to be here.
Thanks for coming. Well, thanks for allowing
me to crash your spot. Yes. Given this is an active construction zone, we know you guys are hard at work and are on a timeline. So thanks for letting us kind of, mess that up a little bit.
No, it's fun to have you guys, and it's fun to be here. We've been chomping at the bit to be here for, and it's going on.
Broke ground May 15th last year, right? So it's been coming up on over a year.
I'm really impressed with you guys busted through this thing. I mean, I can't believe this is only a year built right now. I've seen single family homes that take longer to get up.
Yeah, we've heard that. We've heard that it's been good, but we've had to change it. Right, we've had a great contractor, but that we've had to change a lot. I think we keep referring to it as having built itself because, oh, sorry, we can't get this air conditioning unit, but this other one's available. Or, oh, sorry, we can't get this type of furniture, but this other furniture is available. And so it's coming together and it looks really good, but a lot of it was building itself, I think.
Mm-hmm. Well, it looks amazing.
Yeah.
For anyone listening, you guys are going to have to check out the video.
So we're talking about it. Your main location, original location is downtown Washington. But for our listeners, where is the new place located? Where are we currently at?
We are about 5 miles away from our original location. We are just off of Racetrack Road in North Strabane, Washington County, literally a mile off of 79, a couple miles off Interstate 70, so very accessible location, right down from the Meadows Casino, which is now the Hollywood Casino, across street from Tanger Outlet. So really kind of a busy corridor. So it's easy to get to, and there's a lot of other things to do if you come to visit us.
So what's different now? So it's been 2019 was when we first talked, right? And at that point, you were just starting to fully fill, only filling your 53 at that point. So what's different than what was going on then?
I think the cool thing is really not much. We do whiskey and we try to make really good whiskey. I think from even the first days, it's all we do. So yeah, that 19 would have been starting to fill the full size barrels up from, we started in the 5-gallon barrels.
Yep.
Hit every size barrel in between and just started trying to do more and more of what we love, of whiskey. And so we're bottling exclusively the 53-gallon barrels. We have been for quite some time. We're really proud of the whiskey right now. I think everyone's very happy with how the whiskey tastes, and yeah, we're excited. Not much different, just older, I guess.
A lot of single barrel program offerings have come out since then too, especially once you moved into the 53s, right?
Yeah,
A little easier to do those ones, huh?
for sure.
Yeah, as we're besides being whiskey makers, we're also whiskey enthusiasts, and I think all of us really enjoy single barrels, and we enjoy the uniqueness and going to distilleries that offer single barrel programs. And that was something that always was high on our list, and we just kind of had to bide our time until our big barrels kind of reached that point where they truly were ready and unique. And we have a pretty high bar for single barrels. We've got a lot of barrels in the pipeline, and we're excited. I mean, our goal is to always have at least one, probably more, single barrels as distillery only releases in our new place.
And you've had single barrels. It's not just been the rye or just been the bourbon. Like, you've had single barrels of almost every type of offering you have at this point.
We call it the single barrel standard, around here, right? It's if a barrel downstairs, if it kind of meets that standard where, it could be either incredibly different, unique, like the pecan pie barrel that tasted and very much off profile from the standard rye, right? So it could be like that, or it could just be a really good example of the core, spirit, if it's rye or bourbon or peated, and if it meets that level and tastes pretty good, either barrel proof, and sometimes we'll add a little bit of water. Oftentimes it's pretty close to barrel proof. Yeah, that is it.
Can I tell them about the keys and see if they have an opinion?
Definitely.
So you remember the ghost barrel. You remember the story of how the ghost came and drank some of the whiskey, and it was really good. And it always seems like whatever. Hey, Rob, hi. I'm telling the ghost story again. But whatever barrel we put in that spot always seems to age perfectly, and we've never really been able to find the science behind it. And so we've had a lot of psychics that have come in, and they've gone downstairs and they give us all their opinion of, they feel the ghost. We had a Buddhist monk down there with some equipment one day, catching vibrations, and he suggested, if you want to take this, he said, this is a good, whatever it is, it's a good feeling. It's a joyful spirit down here that's enjoying drinking out of the barrel in that location. And he said, why don't you set some old keys down here? And then you can take the old keys with you to the new barrel house, and then hopefully the whiskey will age the same as it is where we are now. We're confident it's going to be way better because, it's full of air and everything, but still I don't want to, take any chances. So I've got the keys laying down there by the ghost spot. And last week at the family meeting, Kevin said to me, Mom, why are you taking keys of a ghost who drinks our whiskey? Just leave the keys here, Mom.
Yeah.
Did you think to call it the Ghostbusters?
No, I did not think to call the Ghostbusters.
You want to keep the ghost, right? And you don't want to scare it away.
Well, they transport as well.
It's one of the services they offer.
They catch and release.
So last time we talked about getting Liberty Pulse started and the process that went into that. So talk to us about the process that went into deciding, I mean, even the decision process of we gotta go bigger.
Pretty much right after we bought the 600-gallon still and realized we were running out of space to store barrels.
Well, especially when you went from up to 53s, no more 30s. They take a little bit more room on.
Yeah. Who wants to tell that one?
Rob hasn't talked.
Yeah.
You tell Rob.
I don't know the answer to this question. It's not the right one for me.
Rob's like, I'm only here so I don't get fined.
I'll take it. I'll take a chance at it. No, it's just I think it's the old the old saying that, you either, go big or you die, or you grow or you die. So, we had reached capacity, not only in terms of barrel storage, but production. We couldn't bring any more tanks in. We couldn't get bigger tanks. So the production side was at its limit, and the tasting room. We have a pretty awesome craft cocktail program, and we do a really nice business for cocktail crowds on the weekends, and that was bursting at the seams. So everything kind of was just screaming, you guys need to you need to expand this. So we checked out. We looked at several places in Washington. I mean, Washington was our home. We loved it. We have a great relationship with the people of Washington, but it's tough being an urban distillery. And if you guys talk to other distillers that are located in cities, we get big 18-wheel trucks that come in for deliveries and farm trucks to deliver grain. And it's very difficult to maneuver through city streets. So in the end, I think it was probably for the best that we couldn't find a suitable location in Washington. And this spot here on Racetrack Road was available. And, we took one look at it, and I think all of us went back that night and said, that's it. That's where we got to move. And, this gives us all the, all the things we needed. We've got a bigger space. We've got a bigger production facility. We've got an amazing barrel warehouse, the only one of its kind in Pennsylvania, and it's just a great environment.
I think there's 800 hotel rooms, 16 restaurants near us. There's a winery, the J&D Winery has a tasting room over here, and same with White Horse Brewing has a tasting room right here. So literally it's a staycation. You can get away for the weekend and enjoy yourself a little bit.
So I said to Zach when I was first looking at where it was, and I was like, there's a hotel right across the street.
Literally.
And food right here.
will
I
be
think
very
it's going to be very necessary, but also dangerous because it means you're probably going to be here more.
I'll tell you what, I'm not going shopping up at Grove City anymore.
It's not Tanger. Yeah.
And then when you're exhausted from shopping, you just come over, sit in front of the fireplace on a
Telling me.
beautiful old tavern table with a nice cocktail. I think it sounds good.
And our chairs are going to be right here in front of the fireplace.
Right. Our chairs.
Gramians are chaired.
And we have negotiated some better rates with some of the hotels.
Oh, no.
Oh, terrific.
Strip. So we'll link those on our website.
Oh, perfect.
Oh, amazing. Well, I
Even
guess we'll just
Use that.
more then.
So when you first started, was this ever a dream?
Yes.
Like when you first started, did you ever think like in X amount of years, like we're going to be needing to build?
No, I think we're all in incredible shock.
You can tell by that.
No answer.
Stunned silent.
No answer.
I think it's hard to believe. I think we always wanted to be a good whiskey distillery and thought of as such. And this is almost, I think, beyond our kind of what we had dreamt. But yeah, we're happy to be here though.
And the big difference, not only for delivery reasons, right? Having your own space out here is that you built it. Right. So you were moving into another building like you did when you first, but you were kind of stuck with the structure of that. But this one, you got to literally make it what you need to fit your needs.
No one to blame but ourselves if we don't like it.
Exactly.
Well, that's actually what's pretty cool about the place is having the opportunity to build it kind of from the ground up. After all those decisions were made, it doesn't feel all that different. So now that we're kind of in the last phase of things, you walk through the back distillery and you're like, yep, I recognize all this stuff. Okay, I had a pump like this before, And so now that all this is in, you kind of walk around and you're like, wow, this is nice. But it's very familiar, so it works.
I also think it was a chance to really honor the rye whiskey tradition of Pennsylvania. And so what we did here was, based on what has been successful for Kentucky, where we have the style of rickhouse that makes fantastic whiskey in a climate that's similar to Kentucky. And then at the same time, you still honor southwestern Pennsylvania and the history of the rye whiskey. And that's almost a heavy responsibility because you can't let down all those years of people who've made Pennsylvania rye famous.
That is true.
So that's a warning, boys. You go to your room. Discipline.
With the old location, you had the famous story where you had gone to the graveyard and just doing things the same day. Jim, you found,
There's ghosts all
was there any fun story of how this particular spot was found?
So yeah, I mean, there is.
Dad was getting his morning donut.
Listen, if I could work next to Duncan every day.
We had we had an offer out on a property in Washington, and it just didn't work out. We couldn't really reach a deal, an agreement on value. So we're really frustrated because we had kind of thought, okay, that place would really work well for us. It would keep us in Washington. It didn't work, and so just out of frustration, I went into my phone and I pulled up a friend who was affiliated with Horizon Properties, who developed the Street at the Meadows and South Point. And I was thinking, South Point, right? Industrial complex, lots of office buildings, lots of people, easy to get to right off 79. So I asked Dan, I said, hey, we need to move. We need more space. Is there anything in South Point that you think would fit? And he said, well, no, not really South Point, but we do have this lot, at the Street at the Meadows that I think would be perfect. And we came down that night and looked at it, and it was a done deal. I mean, we knew then that was going to be the place for us.
2 hours after, felt like our hearts were broken after the meeting didn't go so well. We were standing on the grass and saying, let's do this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now you guys are sitting in the tasting room.
That's right.
Whatever this is.
Well, yeah, this is the bottle shop, Rob.
Bottle
so-
shop.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Yeah,
That's
so
going to be a wall of whiskey over there.
so let's do that. Let's go through the setup here. Where are we physically located?
Rob, you gonna answer this one?
Yeah, I know this one. It's the bottle shop. That's going to be a wall of whiskey.
Rob doesn't usually leave the production floor.
But you'll be able to come in here and you'll be able to just stop on, if you just need to pick up a bottle. You'll also be able to enjoy tastings. We've been lucky to see some of our new employees and our old employees mixed together with great knowledge of whiskey. They'll be able to talk to you for hours about what you like and about how our whiskeys are similar and how they're aged. Where you're sitting right there, you're sitting in front of a fireplace with there'll be two wingback chairs there. And over the mantle, there'll be a TV with that video of how Liberty Pole got started on a
awesome.
reel. So we can start tours here as well. All the
Gotcha.
tours we'll try to do a tour every single day and then 3 on Saturdays. And it's just a big giant circle. You'll walk out of here to the left. There'll be a little cigar smoking area. We have Liberty Pole cigars coming in that were developed and blended just for us with our little label on. And then you'll be able to walk right past all the grain bins that you see outside, and then right into the production area where they are. The mill room is right there. We never had a mill room before, so I like to say mill room. And but you will be able to see where we actually bring in the local grain, Pennsylvania grown grain, and where we mill it, and then it'll go into the fermenters. Do you guys? Am I saying this right? And
You're down a rabbit hole at this point.
Yeah.
Anyways, we're in the tasting room, or the spirit shop right now. So, and kind of the line of thinking was, at our current bar, it's a pretty small bar, which has a really nice feeling, but sometimes it's this weird combination of people looking to get drinks and looking to get them fast, and other people who want to be able to try the whiskey, talk about the whiskey. So this room is specifically set aside for trying the whiskey, talking about the whiskey, whereas the main bar will be located out front. So
And it's set up with more working fireplaces, a couple more wingbacks there, and some old tavern wooden tables with wooden chairs of all different styles. Am I saying too much?
And then if you
Get excited. Get excited.
you walk into the distillery,
But we left out the part where the best part of the tour is going to be walking around the bottom level of our 5-story rick house. And you'll be able to see the barrels. We're bringing over 600 a million, 11 billion that we have stored somewhere. We're bringing them in.
11 billion barrels.
You heard it here first, folks. 11 billion barrels.
And then you'll be able to walk through that rick house. It's going to smell so good because it's 5 stories and has windows all around. So it'll let the airflow go through. We're here on the top of a hill and it's going to smell so good. We'll walk you through that on your tour and come back in and have a tasting.
You guys looking for a new host?
Listen, if I don't have to say much today, I'm okay.
The plan, didn't I?
We're here to talk to you guys.
Just to summarize the property, right? We have the bottle shop we're in now. We have our meeting house that'll be cocktails and small bites. We have a beautiful outdoor patio that for the 3 weeks a year we get nice weather here in Pittsburgh. We'll be able to have cocktails.
It'll be a
on
great
site.
3 weeks.
I like to call this our whiskey campus. I'm the only one that likes to say that, but
I'll say that.
but I love it. The barrel house, the production building.
Yeah.
three buildings makes a campus.
It does.
Oh, yeah.
Technically,
I should get campus staff.
That's a
Yeah.
The staff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
Yeah, that's what your employees are going to be called, campus staff.
Right.
So so there's 2 bars technically out here. Talk to me about the first one here.
Well, I gotta let Ellen
It's a spring house.
because I do want to, before Ellen starts to talk again, that the details, and you guys have seen them, and I saw you taking some pictures, but what we have going on, the fit and finish and the attention to detail in the meeting house and the whiskey shop is all Ellen. I mean, the detail, the colonial fixtures, the bar she's going to talk about, the Springhouse bar, just kudos to her. She did it.
We talked details of just the branding last time, right? Like how much thought and detail went into the branding itself. I would expect nothing less from
You guys have
a
taken
place
branding
that you
and turned it
guys
into a
built,
place. Yeah, can you talk when you're talking about the bars and everything? Can you tell us also about just how, because everything in here was inspired in some way, shape, or form by the Whiskey Rebellion, that era.
Yeah, the outside of our place is built to look like the Oliver Miller homestead, the David Bradford home. There's a lot of great museums in Washington County that reflect the time. So we wanted to again honor what happened here, and so everything is based pretty much on that. The idea behind the Springhouse bar is that you'll be able to come in and sit down at your table, and then you can either go up to the bar and talk to the bartender. We will also have small plates. You'll be able to order on tavern style plates. You'll be able to order small bites to go with your cocktails. But whenever we've done the Bourbon Trail in Kentucky, you've always felt like the places that you like the most have the good whiskey paired with the good experience. And so for us, it's been trying to make sure that experience matched the beauty and quality of the natural grains that we're getting and the way that the pot stills are distilling and the way the barrel house is aging. So if you're going to have a good whiskey that we've worked a long time to make, I wanted it to be in a place that you really thoroughly felt comfortable. And 1794 just is a comfortable time. I mean, I guess it's a little safer from wild animals, but but we tried to base it on what is already around here. You can go to a lot of museums and see places like this as well. So we just went with that. The Spring House, and the other one I'm hoping is the Cage Bar. But we haven't talked about that putting the cage up yet. In 1794, everybody went through Pennsylvania, hit Pittsburgh, and had boats made so they could move west, move all their stuff down the Ohio River at that time. And you saw those old tavern signs that people, there were no hotels, grocery stores, anything. So if people were traveling by law, you had to take them in at night. So you often see those big signs hanging up on the wall to, only limit 5 people to a bed, no dogs in the kitchen, boots off upon entry. That's because people were going in and out of people's homes in Pittsburgh constantly. And you'd go to bed at night and a wagon would arrive, get out, and help themselves to your whiskey. So Pittsburgh became famous for their cage bars. They just have their area where they kept their whiskey, and they would just enclose it and lock it up at night. So if you were traveling, you could. So my thought was we'd try to hang a couple of cages back there to close up, but we haven't done that yet. You still have a spring house here and then a back bar. Mm-hmm. It's still tavern feeling, the high wooden ceiling with the wooden beams and wooden chandeliers hanging down like candles. It should be very warm and comforting.
So the production area, much bigger, and not fumbling over, hoses and all that stuff.
For now.
Right, for now.
Are you guys doing bigger output?
Yeah, we're trying.
Oh, talk to me about, so we talked before when we were checking out the place beforehand. Talk to me about the flow of how the whole production area is set up.
Yeah, so it works out pretty well for us. We kind of view it as step one is grain input, right? So the farmers deliver the grains. We have that set up in the back corner. Flows naturally right into our cooker where it's cooked into mash. Ferments right around there before being pumped a little bit over towards the other back corner where the still's located, distilled into spirit, right conveniently next to the barrel warehouse, right? Barrels rolled across the street into the ricks.
It's a big circle.
Yeah, it's a big circle. After that, barrels come back out, they get blended and bottled, and then right back out the same garage door for as final product. So
It's the circle of life, man.
it's a circle. It's a circle of whiskey.
So you have your still that you brought over,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And you also bought another one.
Yes.
Talk to me about the difference in sizes between what you had
Yep.
and what you have now.
Yep. So main goal for us was in the old location, we had one still, which we would use for both first and second distillations. All of our product is distilled twice, no more, no less. So on this system, the way that we wanted to set this place up was we'd be able to scale with more fermenters. So as you add fermenters, each one needs to go through that first distillation run. That still gets tied up a little more often with what we call it, the first distillation, we call it a stripping run. It gets tied up with stripping runs a little more often. Mm-hmm. So in order to free up our original Herald to do final runs, they couldn't be doing stripping runs every single day, so we had to bring in a designated stripping still. So for us, Herald, the still we're bringing over is a 600 gallon. It'll be designated significantly or solely for second spirit runs, and then the stripping still we just sourced from Vendome in Kentucky is 1,000 gallon still. So, and then more importantly for us is if you guys have ever seen our existing still, which I know you have, Harold came over with a pretty tall, right? For a 600 gallon still. Yeah. It's got a nice tall inverted cone head on it. The line arm extends out about 2 feet out of the top of it before turning over and going down to the condenser. So it makes it does a good job of making a really clean spirit. But for us to push through a whole lot of flavor, we like to keep the proof down, right? So if you distill too close to vodka, that's no good, right? You do want to clean it up to the appropriate amount. So for us, we wanted to make it a little easier on on Harold to have a little bit of meat to work with, so to speak. So the stripping still that we got is short, squat. Should make some really nice fat low wines essentially. So we're pretty excited about that.
So obviously, with the addition of the 1,000 gallon, you're going to be doing a lot more product. We'll talk about how much product can fit in the barrel house here in a minute. Any thoughts of, I know for right now you're only currently selling in PA, any thoughts of expanding?
No.
Outside of the state?
Certainly not anytime soon.
Okay.
Not anytime soon. So, yeah, Pennsylvania, right? There's still a lot of people in Pennsylvania who haven't had our whiskey yet. We don't want to stretch ourselves thin. Mm-hmm. Trying to make good whiskey, sell it here at home, and enjoy it.
Pennsylvania is a pretty big state.
Yeah,
it is.
We have to make a lot of whiskey just to, kind of get around the state of Pennsylvania.
Well, I mean, with us being in Western PA, we're so close to Ohio, New York, Maryland, West Virginia, and thought, I mean, yeah, we can go out east. There's tons of space over there, but I wasn't sure because we were so close. Are there any thoughts of like dipping into either one of those?
Definitely in the future. I mean,
Yeah.
not in the next several years, but once production kicks in here and we have the barrels and we have the inventory, then we do have plans to target a very regional network. Places that we can go to support Ohio, New York, Maryland. I don't think.
I haven't heard of this before.
You know, it's our tasting room, the majority of customers for tours and for bottles are not from the Pittsburgh area either.
I'll get trouble.
We get a lot of travelers.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and the other nice thing is not only as we make more, but as the whiskey gets older as well. So pretty cool on our part. We just we just ordered new labels for our next round of bottles, and we increased the age statement from 2 years to 3 years old.
Nice.
So that's pretty nice. We're slowly crept up to 3 years old, and then honestly, I think for a Western Pennsylvania brand, traditionally the rye was 3 to 5 years old. So I don't know exactly where our final age statement will be. Say if we're still fortunate enough to be doing this in 15 years, but my money is it's going to be somewhere in that 3 to 5 year age statement. So right now, every time we answer the question of whether or not do we want to sell here or sell there, it's kind of a trade-off as far as how long it takes to get to a third year or say a fourth year, right? So as that age statement gets older, that question may change a little bit, but pretty cool. We just increased it to 3 years, so
It's awesome.
yeah.
And that's because what's been in bottles, has been about that 3 year mark. Even though the bottle says minimum of 2 years, it's over the last 7 or 8 months, it's crept up nicely.
We feel confident enough that we won't need to pull anything younger than 3 years.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
And then I'm also particularly excited about it because for us that was kind of a no-brainer to go from 2 to 3. In the future, to go from 3 to 4, I think that's going to be more of a subjective question than an objective one, if that makes sense. I think it's just going to be like kind of what do you prefer? It's not going to be like, wow, this is objectively better. I think it's going to be more like, hey, internally, what do we prefer? Do we want a little more of that oak flavor? Or do we miss some of that, like bright, grainy flavor that comes through in the 3-year-old version?
So will you guys be making that decision also like based on the type of whiskey? Like, for example, you said like rye whiskey back in the day, especially 3 to 5 years was the sweet spot.
Yeah.
So you maybe try to keep it 3 to 5 years of the whiskey. Would that maybe be different with your bourbon?
Yeah.
Would you then
very, very realistically, it could be. So that 2 to 3 was an across the board decision. Moving forward, pretty easily, it could be
case by case kind of
case
thing?
by case. Yeah.
So with the ramp up in the amount of production that last time we talked in 2019 to now, like once this is up and running, are you still using the same like farms and stuff where you're getting like your grain and everything?
Yeah.
Or did you have to like expand to a couple farms or?
Yeah, we've had a change in corn farmer as of about 2 years ago, but that was really no surprise. Jeremy grew us a lot of really good corn. Now we're with a gentleman named Nevada who grows both our corn and rye out towards the center of the state, I believe it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, we've
Nevada's from Pennsylvania.
a little confusing.
And he actually,
Cool about him is
His
he's
best buddy's name is Austin. So
Oh my gosh. Did their parents want to leave?
he's like you guys' age, so like he'll be farming for a long time.
Yeah.
That's a great, reliable source.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You guys will be in
Yep,
business.
yep. He grows all our Bloody Butcher corn and all our Pennsylvania rye, so brings it out whenever
Nice.
we need it. Usually brings us some beef jerky as well. So,
Will we be able to get some of that in our
yeah,
neighborhood?
yeah.
And just to show how distillers in the state support each other, we were referred to Nevada from our good friend Herman.
Oh yeah, Herman.
Matt's hat.
Yep, love Herman.
Thanks, Herman.
So thanks.
Shout out to Herman.
Yeah.
He's also the other supplier that we're really excited to work with is we've been working with West Virginia Great Barrel Company for about 2.5, maybe 3 years now. And they're our sole barrel provider at this point.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, which we're super excited about. Those guys are awesome. And just as importantly is they source Appalachian oak right? Where
right on.
in
Okay.
Kentucky, yeah, because kind of like the mecca of all the cooperages is not surprisingly out towards Kentucky, and those guys tend to do all their forestry and logging in the Ozarks, right? So it's kind of interesting to get linked up with a cooperage that's super professional, really knowledgeable, really experienced, and happens to do a lot of their logging out in the Appalachian forest. So jury's out on how big of a difference that makes, but it's definitely something we are interested in finding out.
That's really cool. I mean, the flavor profile, everything about this from top to bottom is going to be very like Appalachian.
Exactly.
It's
Exactly.
Pennsylvania tri-state area kind of a thing.
Exactly.
And like, it's just not, rising tide floats all boats with just your partnerships and everything like that. We might have covered this already, but you mentioned working with these coopers. How many barrels were you guys able to store previously versus how many will you be storing in the brick house now?
So
What will that do for your relationship with the cooper?
Yeah. So at the old place, we had two locations where we were storing the whiskey barrels, and we're going to be bringing over about 650, I believe, and we're bursting at the seams there. So that was a little bit over capacity probably at the old place. And so this barrel warehouse is capable of holding 3,600 barrels.
Oh, yes,
So
please.
there's a little bit of room to grow.
So back to the production with this larger facility now, way more capacity are you worried about, like, is there any sort of like, not concerned, but just extra thought process in the end result? Like, I know, like we talked before, like when you go from like smaller barrels to bigger barrels, you got to have to kind of play with it a little bit to make sure it's still, is there any extra thought process in moving from what you were producing, like the amount you were producing there to here? Or is it just like pretty much like 1-to-1?
You know what's funny? The first thing we did actually after we got onto the property and we're interested in it, we went to the apartment complex next door and got a water sample, and compared it to our water sample back in Washington. Now they're from the same source, and so the test came back very similar, but it is new piping compared to old Washington piping. So there is some thought of subtle changes, but we think we feel pretty confident. The makeup of the water is pretty darn similar.
Gotcha.
And that was another big reason for wanting to bring over Harold as well. So we'll have the same yeast source, we'll have the same grain supplier, same water source, new place. We'll swab the distillery back on Maiden Street, and there's a lot of natural bacteria and yeast in the air, and we'll try to cultivate some of those and bring them over to here as well. So I think overall we've tried to consider, every possible difference that could change from location to location. And then I think really one of the biggest ones is having gone through that first expansion, how the stills run. We learned so much in the first still growth and what to look for, and feel pretty confident. And I think our break-in period for this setup is going to be a lot faster than our break-in period for when we went to Big Harold.
I think the biggest thing we'll have to watch out for over the next couple of years, as far as mashing and running the stills, like Kev said, don't see too much potential for drastic change there. The one thing we'll be interested to see is the rick house aging environment versus our previous kind of basement. And jury's out to kind of how our opinions on that in the 3 years down the line. I'm super excited for it. I think it'll be interesting. On the blending table, we always kind of appreciate having differences between barrels, right? That gives us a little bit better opportunity to blend to consistency. And I think it'll give us some really awesome single barrels, that's for sure.
So that's perfectly into my next question, moving into the rick house.
Yeah.
Before we discussed what your definition of Monongahela rye was. And in that talk, you talked about having like this cement, like brick house, basically. This isn't that.
Yep.
So
We broke tradition on that.
yes,
we love airflow. Every single one of our favorite, if you were to ask us to pick our 10 favorite barrels we've ever done, every single one of them was highly oxidized, highly esterified whiskey, right? Getting the oak in there to us is one of the more boring parts. I love oak flavor as much as anybody, but for us, these pot stills, they make big, fat, oily whiskeys. And so we're finding that we really prefer a lot of oxidation in these barrels as they age. So whenever it came time to picking this aging environment, it was an absolute no-brainer. Put an above-ground rick house in, get windows in them, keep it open, make sure they're stored horizontally, not vertically. trying to get all that air on.
Will you guys keep the windows open year round?
Yeah, jury's apple probably. Yeah.
It was so cool. Well, the first time we went up to the 5th floor, when they got it done, Kevin and I were standing side by side, and he goes, "Open up one of these new windows, see how easy they open." We opened the window, and the breeze was just blowing through there, and the two of us looked at each other, the wind! And Kevin's going, "We're on a hill!" It was jackpot. It was such a great
It's
feeling.
not good for angel share, but it's always tasted, at least for us, our favorite.
So talk to me about how you ended up with that structure, like the thought process of like going with, nope, we're going to go with the way more traditional looking rick house.
Like, I think every decision we make in production and in front of house too.
It's based on code.
No,
Like every decision, it was the fire department.
Robert's like, nobody can sue us from this interview. Everything is fine.
only here so I don't get fined.
Our decisions were based on laws, not on whiskey consumption.
Yep. No, entirely taste, right? 100% taste decision. And, in our basement downstairs, we've had palletized barrels and we've had horizontal barrels. And like Rob said, the airflow, I mean, every single time it produces to us a whiskey that we enjoy more. And so, it was either between horizontal wood ricking or palletized. And you can go high with pallets.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with it. A lot of people do whiskey that way, but when you think about it, when you stack barrels on pallets like that, you're packing them in tight. That airflow between barrels is so much less than it is horizontally with space in between each one. So for us, it was just kind of almost a no-brainer where, hey, make the investment because in the end of the day, it's 100% taste.
I mean, when we walked through it earlier, I felt like I was back down in Kentucky or just on some of my tours. It was just like, you just look up and you're just like, yeah, this is what when I think rick house, this is what that looks
It's like a whiskey cathedral.
The guys that built that for us
Yeah.
were from Bardstown, Kentucky, Busick Construction. They build pretty much every rick house for the big distilleries in Kentucky. And when they were here, they told us that this is the smallest 5-story rick house that they've ever built. 3,600 barrels. I mean, they
We
build
thought that was huge.
40, 50,000,
Yeah.
60,000 barrels. But what really kind of resonated with us is that, that 5th floor, those 5 floors are really important because each floor is its own kind of microclimate, its own temperature, its own humidity. And so when you factor in kind of in a smaller footprint, the average distance of any barrel to the nearest window is much smaller than in a 50, 60,000 barrel rick house. We think just in terms of, the aging environment, it's going to be,
Maybe the best
world class. I mean, it's going to be
I
phenomenal.
mean, you said it's no other rick house in the state is like this one, correct?
Yep. Yeah. No other. They had to get to move their PE license to the state of Pennsylvania to be able to.
So do you guys? So, I'm sorry, Rob.
As an added bonus, the slight smell of Permane Brothers wafts right through the windows.
Yeah, the wind catches it right.
Are we gonna have a Permane Brothers like whiskey?
So what you're saying, what you're saying is, we're gonna start having like
a cap, egg, and cheese.
coleslaw,
If the wind hits
I get the
just right,
fries, the French fries.
coleslaw fry mix, kind of on the nose now.
Put fries on everything. Why not your whiskey?
100%.
So because of those, something that really stuck out to me that you just said, Jim, the microenvironments, and you guys talk about, how that can affect the whiskey. Do you guys think that you'll be kind of circulating your barrels to see what type of whiskey ages best at a particular level within the rickhouse?
The plan right now is to load everything completely randomly. So that way we kind of cover all our bases.
Nice.
And assume that you get some, rye whiskey up top, some rye whiskey in a more mild climate, some bourbon up top. And then after 3 to 4 years, kind of to be seen whether or not, hey, like these bourbons up top are unbelievable. These ryes down here are out of this world. If we maybe start allocating at that point, we definitely plan to kind of randomize and go all over the place to start with. Yeah.
How long do you think it'll take you production wise to fill it?
2 years, 2.5. Yeah.
So to piggyback off of that, how long before we see our first bottle to come out of this distillery?
So based on that 3-year age statement, that's the easiest answer to that.
Yeah.
Probably 3.5 years at this point. And it might be 4 years before then. So yeah, 3.5, 4 years, something like that. Yeah.
But we still have, the barrels. Some of the barrels are older that we're bringing over. Some of the barrels we just made 2 weeks ago. Those will still be aging and
Yeah,
be
100%.
available. So we'll still have the good stuff. Not that we want to have good stuff. That came out wrong. But we'll still have the
original
good
stuff?
The OG stuff.
Just the
will be
standard
aging.
Liberty Pole whiskey.
The downtown Washington stuff.
Yeah.
And
that'll-
what'll be fun is, right, we've
fun
got
to see that
we've got
age here.
2-year-old, lots of 2-year-old barrels
Yeah.
that we're going to move over here. So they'll spend their final year or two aging in this.
Right. That's what I meant.
Just
That'll be interesting to see how that
just in
changes.
time for summer too, which is where they do.
Yeah.
It feels to me, at least as we monitor them, it feels like they do 75% of their yearly aging in those like 4 hottest months of the year. So
Now that you have, the brick house and you the different levels and be able to pull from this corner and this corner and these, this spot here and this spot here and this spot here make a great blend, kind of stuff.
yeah.
Is there any thoughts of another product coming out, like eventually?
Depends.
Like I know some of them have
Yeah.
like this only comes from this section. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Any thought of a new product?
Depends on where the ghost sets up shop.
Yeah.
No, at this moment, probably not. So if we like I said, if within a year or two, if things are just poking their head out that we can't deny, then yes, obviously.
Gotcha.
But for now, not at the moment.
I mean, I know you talked about you want to consistently have a single barrel product available. So that will, having 3,600 barrels will definitely be,
Right.
But I wasn't sure if there's any other we really want to attempt to do this type of, kind of thing. So
I really think the best thing we could do is to continue to taste those barrels every single day. And then, kind of, see what happens.
You guys need any help?
yeah, right.
It's funny. They've got the angel share. They've got the devil's cut.
Yeah.
Now we need
The Dream Angel share.
the ghost stram for your ghost barrels.
Yeah.
That would be a good thing to do.
Yeah.
And the Dream Yenzer share. Yeah.
Yeah.
We have a couple finishing projects right now that
Yeah.
that we're really excited about. So that's maybe more of a direction I think that we'll go instead of something crazy different. It would be like right now we have a peated bourbon and a orange liqueur orange liqueur barrel,
Okey-dokey.
triple sec barrel, and it was peated bourbon that it was almost thin. It needed like a little bit of a kind of like a fruity type of balance to it, and so we had tried through a few and thought the triple sec barrel would be great, and then a peated rye barrel and a Oloroso sherry cask, and it was very similar too, where it just we almost needed like and where it's trending right now is what'd you say yesterday, Rob? Like almost tastes like jelly whenever you're peated rye with like juice, yeah.
And this bottle will be available.
Whenever it's ready.
It's tough. It's tough to call. It's our first go around with finishing projects. So they're 2.5 months old right now. We kind of had our fingers penciled in at 3 to 5 months, right, for a finishing project.
Yeah.
Based on how they're going, the gut feeling is now closer to 9 months.
Okay.
Which puts us like
Christmas.
Yeah, it puts us like Halloween, Thanksgiving.
Well, that sounds
kind
like
of
the perfect
timeline
time to
for it.
release something like that. I'll say.
Yeah, they're absolutely fantastic. So we're
man.
excited. We're excited. We've got a couple other ones. We're getting close. Our Rose and Rye is almost 3 years old. We've got another batch of Mesquite Rye on the horizon. Yep.
That was one of the
I'm
ones.
just thirsty.
That was one of the ones they tapped for us last time we talked.
Yep.
That
I remember about falling on my
they
butt.
they were testing them out. Yeah, and they had
The other one that's actually another one too. It's maybe not as cool as sounding as the Mesquite Rye, but we actually did the famous 95.5 MGP mash bill. But why we're excited about it is because obviously that's a great recipe and they do it incredibly well and consistent and some of the best in the world at making that rye whiskey. But it's on a big continuous column still. And so we thought, how cool would it be to try that recipe on a pot still and maybe a little bit more kind of the whiskey nerd type of release, but
absolutely.
It tastes really interesting, and it's you have those similarities from MGP in terms of the mash bill, but it's clearly a pot distilled whiskey, and that's what I'm excited for.
So what the term is escaping me right now, but when you're placing the barrels in the rick house, there was a certain technique you had to learn, right? So you knew
Clocking.
clocking. Thank you. You want to talk about? People probably have no idea what that is. So talk to us about what that is.
Go ahead, Kev.
So there's the entry port for the barrel is called the bung, right? That's the name.
What?
It's called the bung.
The bung?
Can you guess where? Can you guess where you put the bung?
In the bung hole.
That's correct. Right? That's what it is.
It's also where you thief it from.
That's true. And so that's made from poplar. It's a little bit less.
Tell me you thief the bung hole?
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other bung comments? Probably keep going. But you don't want that facing downwards. It's poplar. It's a little bit more susceptible to leaks. So you have to, when you roll the barrel onto the rick, it has to be virtually vertical up in the air within a couple degrees. And so, and now you're 16 barrels deep. So you have a good 20 feet that you have to roll this barrel, and hopefully you're in the right place. So the job of the clocker is to start the barrel in the right position so that when you roll it to its position, that bung is right up. So Jeff, our guy Jeff, I don't think he slept for the last couple weeks. He's been practicing all night. Sneaks into the
wake up. Why is this barrel empty? I don't know.
Jeff actually might live in that barrel.
It's the concrete share.
Just put him a hammock in the one corner.
So what is the technique for getting them, and this might be a really ignorant question, getting them all the way up to the 5th level?
So Jeff straps
I
on
carry
his
him.
Is there,
That's Jim's workout for the day.
yeah.
There's a little elevator on the inside of it. And so you will roll 2 barrels onto this elevator and lift them up with the motor in the roof and take it to each floor.
Race it up the stairs?
Yeah, exactly. Donkey Kong style.
Now we're going to be fit, man.
Oh, yeah.
Fit and drunk. No tasting.
I don't know. It's important to stay hydrated.
That's right.
So if you could go back in time to 2016 when you first started open and could tell yourselves something, what would it be?
Don't do this. Go get a real job.
As we sit in your beautiful new
Yeah. In under a decade, y'all have gone and built yourself a brand new campus with the only rick house of its kind in the state,
Yeah, no, I think
steeped in history.
Dad said this before. Naivete is the fuel that drives entrepreneurs. If you knew all the things that you'd have to go through, it'd probably be too hard to start, too scary to start. But just a passion for whiskey and a passion for great whiskey experiences and cocktails, I think, is just continued pushing us day after day. And I think we're probably some of the foremost competitive people out there, and just that constant desire to want to be better and better and better. And
Yeah, but from a parent standpoint, I think your dad and I have been very, very proud to be included and work with you and see you guys. You're just very, very careful how you handle everything and making sure that you are the best at what you do. And that's a whole nother part of it that we didn't count on seeing, right, Jim? I mean, they used to never make their beds, and now we have this. So it is very
Now we're talking about upright bungholes.
next thing you know.
John, that's a great question. And, I don't really know that we could have done it differently. I mean, I tell myself, I would never start with 5-gallon barrels again. But, I think it was essential to our growth. And the feedback loop on a 5-gallon barrel is much less, much quicker than if we'd have gone right into 53-gallon barrels. So we knew in 5 to 6 months we had a really good read on that whiskey, and we could, kind of make adjustments, and that worked that way. It worked that way all the way through the different barrel sizes. I would have been terribly scared if everything we put it, from our first distillation went into a 53-gallon barrel, waiting for that barrel. Oh, did we do it right? I mean, we've got 3 years invested in this barrel now. I think the 5-gallon barrels, we made some darn good whiskey. You can make good whiskey out of a small barrel. And, it was a learning process for us all the way through those barrel sizes. So when we hit 53s, we really, had a very good feel for how to make good whiskey.
Yeah, if we could teach ourselves what we know now back then, I guess that would be the how to make whiskey, how we do it. But other than that, yeah, I think to be where I am now, like Dad said, I think I'm not sure there's much I would change or be able to tell us now that that
you guys wouldn't be who you are if you didn't do everything the way you did it, right? And
yeah,
right.
Change one little thing, might not get the same result.
Yep.
Yeah.
I do remember the one time when it was pretty early on, and we were making a tails cut, and we were like, you know what? Just from what we're seeing in these 5-gallon barrels, we think we need a little bit more of these fatty acids, these oils, and we made like a fairly good sized jump. And I remember we were sitting around the tank. I'm like, man, this doesn't work out. Like, better update the resumes. Just that thought, but it was one of the best things we learned, and it was like that was just one stepping stone on the, even further down into the tails, and the bigger the barrel you get, the more you need of that and things like that. But yeah, that was definitely a memory that stuck out. That
We do a lot of standing around the big still, like when old Howie gets started. We'll all stand there nervously watching, not except for Rob. Rob's confident. Always, every step of the way has been a nervous guess. Oh, come on, admit it.
Piggybacking a little bit off of what you were saying, Ellen, just as parents watching your sons grow and everything. Sorry, sir. This has been a family enterprise, and do you think that this familial element to this enterprise has been instrumental and key to making it what it is today?
at least 3 of the 4. Not sure which one it is.
I don't think we could have done it one person or 2 people. I think it took all 4 of us. And I think we all had different strengths. And so we were made to do this, I think. I mean, it sounds weird, doesn't it? But as Kevin said, we're competitive. So that forces each of the rest of us to be on top of our game. There's also love of and pride that I don't know if you'd get if you weren't a family. Mm-hmm. So there's a higher bar to cross over by making the best whiskey you possibly can, because it's a symbol and a representation of all of us. So I do think it's taken all 4 of us to do this. It was just perfect the way we were. Kevin said that. He came home. Jim started the business, and we were only open a couple weeks, and Kevin and Rob came home from their regular jobs and took us out to dinner. And I always tell people that Jim and I thought they were going to put us in the nursing home. But no, they said they wanted to join.
That was plan A.
But they said that they wanted to join. And Kevin said, I think we all have different skills, and I think we would be a good team. And looking back on that, that has been exactly what it's been, totally what it's been.
And being able to build your own and put what you wanted into it. What is one thing that each one of you wanted to see in the new place?
I think when we hired our architect firm, mm-hmm. We brought them into our original location and just kind of said, hey, look around. This is what we want, mm-hmm. but in a bigger footprint, mm-hmm. More modern things that the modern amenities that we don't have in our current location. Mm-hmm. So I really wanted that charm. I wanted that that intimacy, that old world colonial feel. Mm-hmm. These guys, I'm sure.
I just wanted air conditioning. and I didn't get it.
You're
I don't know,
American.
you have those two big doors open. You get plenty of Kevin.
I don't know if I can top that. Pudding.
Pot stills. That was the main thing.
Yeah.
So we knew for a fact there was no way we were leaving those pot stills behind. So
Yeah.
it gets attractive to start to jump towards those continuous columns. As the fermenters get bigger, it's just more reliable. It's easier to run. It's easier to train to. It makes very, very consistent and very good product. But the more we ran these pot stills and the more we started monitoring these guys as they aged, we knew it was not an option. We were sticking with them. So
Well, it's the essence of what you are too,
Yeah.
and what your taste is. So if you switch that, I mean, it's not like it's
yeah.
it's not like you're going from a 600 to 1,000.
Yeah.
Like you're changing completely,
Yeah.
and that could have
Yeah.
very big effects on the
Pot still
taste.
definitely. I mean, you can taste the Liberty Pole whiskey. You know it's a Liberty Pole whiskey.
Hell yeah.
Yep.
When you don't have to have the bottle in front of you.
Yep.
Take a sip. Doesn't matter if it's a bourbon or the rye or what have you.
It really, really preserves that grain flavor,
Yeah.
which we absolutely love. In smaller barrels and at younger age statements, I think sometimes that pot grain tends to get confused for youthfulness at times. The older it gets, the more we love it. And it doesn't, not that it, I don't care if it gets confused for youthfulness, or maybe it's just as it gets older, like that's what you're actually looking for. But yeah, we knew we weren't changing for a minute. And there's not many pot stills bigger than the 1,000-gallon one we have out there. There's definitely a chunk, but not many of them. And it's not because we're a big distillery. We're not. It's because nobody puts them in. Right?
Yeah.
They're more expensive to run. They take longer. You can't turn them over quite as quickly.
Yeah.
But yeah, for us, we knew we weren't looking. So that's really what I wanted to see was pot stills.
I think, I guess for me, probably was the barrel rakes we were talking about.
Yeah.
I think that was pretty important.
Yeah.
I think that was pretty important. And Dad's answer.
Well,
Yeah.
I think I've been driven by a vision of it
Kev wanted
being
to spot
finished.
his spreadsheets.
He's going to sit up. The vision of the end of it, because I just love the barrel reactions to our whiskey and how it comes out. And I think what's driven me through the whole process, the one thing I want to see is the four of us and our two wives. Your two wives, I mean.
No, please.
The six of us standing in the barrel house with a Glencairn and a good barrel, and we all go, dang, we did this. We did. That's what's keeping me going.
It's actually against protocol. You're not allowed to drink in the warehouse.
Oh. Now you tell me. I quit.
I'm out. She's done.
Per the fire department.
Fire department doesn't have to be there.
They're just telling me that because they know I drink all the time out of the barrels behind their back.
Actually, there's going to be the key cards to get into doors. Some of the doors are
Oh, no.
not keyed. We're excited about that.
No.
There's a
You're getting me a key card to the barrel house.
So
she's on to us,
Here's
guys.
here's the family aspect coming out right now. Mom, you locked out.
Key card to the
So I know it's not open yet and it's not done, but if you guys had to say what's your favorite part or what you're most excited for, what has left the biggest impression on you guys since you've been here these last couple hours?
Want to go first? Or are you going to think for a minute?
You can say pot stills.
You could say barrel house.
The Rick House is just no one has it around here. No one, and you brought a company from Kentucky to do it, and it's aesthetically it's amazing. You walk in and you're just like yes, but I think I'm super excited to drive up around the corner after you've opened, see the patio filled, see that room filled, so people in here, but I'm just excited to see people here. Because even though you're no longer downtown Washington, I don't think this move 5-10 minutes up the road is really going to affect you guys that much. If
You're closer to my house.
explode it. Yeah, you're closer to us, which is probably bad for our wallets, but
Definitely bad for our wallets.
what do you think? Or did I steal your
No, you didn't. No. I couldn't decide. You started us off in the Rick House, and I was like, "This is a whiskey church,"
That's it exactly.
and
church on campus, right?
and then we came in here, and you started talking about the design decisions and the space and the inspiration behind it, and the excitement for me just built on itself. At no point was I like, oh, well, that's cool, but it's not that thing. It was just kind of, it was, I think my favorite thing about this is that this place is just so quintessentially you guys, just at a grander scale. That's my favorite thing about this place. It's everything that makes you guys you, whether it's building the first brick house of its kind in Pennsylvania, to integrating the history into the building, to giving a damn about quality control, even though you're ramping up production, and wanting to do pot stills instead of the easy thing, because pot stills is what makes you you, part of what makes you you. Mm-hmm. I can't pick out one thing because it's all just Liberty Pole.
You scaled up, but you still stayed true to you. But I mean, did we talk about detail? I mean, God, we walked in to the meeting house and immediately hit with this beautiful blue that is all over the other location, and I just immediately went, yeah, this is yes.
Kevin, I'm looking at your hat right now. Your hat is the colors of the building.
I mean, even the crazy
I can't match my clothes. I don't know how.
the spring bar, right?
Yeah.
Did you notice the thing on the side they had? It's not fully done yet.
Yeah. We were talking.
Oh yeah, you were standing there too. Like having spring water come out of the spring house bar. Like
it's amazing. I'm geeking out over here.
I'm out.
The fact that you were like, this is Pennsylvania granite on the countertops. I'm like, you guys are so committed to celebrating Pennsylvania's rich history to whiskey. Mm-hmm. And it's in every single corner of this building and that rick house and in every bottle you guys put out. It's awesome.
I also love that we get the sander in the background.
And it is an active construction zone, so people are going to have to deal with it. Those, you know what those sanders are? That to me says there's whiskey coming.
That's right.
Yeah. No, I'm
It's
just
the
thinking.
promise of bottles.
I'm just thinking of how much Tomas is going to cuss us out.
We'll buy a bottle. We'll bring him here. We'll
He's got a couple weeks to work on this.
First cocktails on us, buddy. But yeah, I don't know. My favorite thing is that it's still Liberty Pole. It's just we get more of it.
Yeah. And
That's what we wanted it to be.
And my only other question usually is what's next, but I think we're in what's next.
What's next is July 1st, my friend.
Another barrel warehouse.
Yeah.
Yeah, wouldn't that be cool?
Mom thinks she's done, but she's got another. She's got another warehouse. She's gonna
I'm done. I'm just gonna.
You're done until the next project.
Do you have any other questions?
Can I stay the night?
Josh, do you have any questions? I think I hit all the ones you had. Yeah.
John's just like, the list is not stopping. Quick shout out also to Josh from Thrifty Whiskey for being our official videographer, the third Dramienzer, and setting us up with this. I'm trying to swear less, but there's no other way to say it. Kick-ass setup.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I want to answer the question of what I'm most excited about. This is the mezzanines or overlook production. That's what I'm most excited about.
Yeah. So, okay, just in case you couldn't, I mean, I can hear you kind of, but we'll see. I don't know if Tomas can blow it. You said you're excited for that mezzanine that overlooks production. Yeah, absolutely.
That's begging to be like a share spot.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll put some nice tables up there and some chairs. So
that's actually where our chairs are going to go.
Yeah, it is. Well, it's a good day to look over the kingdom.
Oh, goodness. All the serfs.
My spot.
Hang out with the aristocracy.
Any other?
Is there anything else you guys want people to know? Is there anything that you guys want to, do you just want to get people fired up about other than brick houses, pot stills,
Pennsylvania rye?
I think we're just excited to show people. We can't wait for people to come hang out here. The people make it, right? I mean, I think you walk into the current place and it's like people who have been there before, if it's busy, and someone's walking in who's like clearly there for the first time, just a guest who's standing around the table will walk somebody through how this place works, and it's snowballed. It's so much bigger than the four of us. It's bigger than our whole team. It's the people that make it here, and I can't wait for that. I think that's going to be such a cool thing. You had mentioned that.
Yeah, and you had mentioned that we're scaling up, but we're keeping true to ourselves, and that's, I think, what I'm most proud of, and what I want people to see when they come here. I mean, people love our original location, and rightfully so. It's a really cool place, and so a lot of our regular frequent visitors are like, "Oh, we're gonna miss this place," and yeah, I get it. You're gonna
So
miss
get in
it.
your car and drive a couple more minutes.
When you see what we've done, I just don't want to, I don't want people to think that we're moving up and selling out and changing who we are. I mean, we are who we've been, and this place is really gonna show that, I think.
You guys have just made more room for more people to enjoy it.
Yep.
Right.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
1,000
Thank you
times
for
over.
allowing
Like,
us
Thank all of you guys. Thank you guys.
to come.
You guys were like our first distillery
They were,
that we
yeah.
talked to, and we just feel like everything we've done has been inextricably linked to you guys.
We've grown up together.
That's right.
For sure. You're our older sibling
of us
for
have.
sure. But
But thank you for allowing us to come in on a work day as we can hear the construction in the background. And, if you're watching the video, you see the hats and the fireplaces all still walled up. But
Ellen's got another interview at 3.
yeah, thank you. Thank you for taking time out of your day once again to allow us to come in here and have a
Anytime.
great conversation.
Anytime.
It's our pleasure. Thanks for taking vacation days to come in.
Yeah, true.
Of course.
That's awesome.
I've taken them for worse.
We're appreciative. Thank you guys.
Well, one other thing that I want to bring up, because when we did the whiskey episode with two of them before, we got to try something back then that wasn't out yet and was still being like shopped around within. And that was the spiced whiskey, the Mama Hough winter whiskey. I have been,
Holiday whiskey.
what? No, winter whiskey, because it extends.
That's true.
past the
Just extend past the holiday.
I have been waiting for this. I still have some of that batch that you guys let us try.
Really?
And I brought it with me so we could all, try it. We don't have to do it on the thing, but I brought it to let us all try it. So yeah.
That's awesome.
Oh, I have tears.
High five.
That is maybe the only bummer of today is being on the construction site.
Yeah.
Not having
Yeah.
a bottle sitting on the table.
Yeah.
We'll do
Oh,
that.
we'll have plenty of those. Trust, those are definitely in our future. But the only thing I have left to say, Zachary, Josh, Hough family, cheers to you guys.
John, Josh, Hough family. Cheers to you guys.
Cheers.
John,
And
Zach,
Hough family.
cheers to you guys.
Cheers to you guys.
and cheers.
Cheers to you. Yeah.